Okay, so for assignment one this week, we are going to do another mini lab through our predict, observe, and explain protocol. And we're going to see a demo displaying chemical equilibrium. So remember that in equilibrium, the forward and reverse reactions are equal. And in this video, we're going to be viewing a reaction through color change. And recall that color change is one of the indicators we know that a chemical reaction is happening. All right, so in this chemical reaction, which is shown at the top, we have a cobalt solution mixing with chlorine ions, making a cobalt chlorine product and water. This compound that's highlighted in pink on the reactant side is shown in this pink test tube on the left. This blue highlighted product is shown, this cobalt chloride compound is shown in this test tube on the right, which is blue. There's also water in here. What do you think this purple test tube represents? If you guessed that this represents the chemical equation at equilibrium, you're right. Because if we mix pink and blue, we'll get this purple color. So let's watch and see what happens, and then we'll make a prediction about this reaction. Okay, so in these four test tubes here, this is all reactant, and we know that because they're all pink, and our reactants are pink. Remember, reactants are always what's on the left side of the equation. So now we're going to add hydrochloric acid to one of the test tubes. Now, if you look, hydrochloric acid has chlorine in it, and that is one of the other reactants. So if we take this cobalt and water solution and mix chlorine with it, what do you think we'll see? Well, it's going to turn into the products, and we should see it turn blue. So let's watch. And there you go, it's turning blue. Now, would you say that this equation is at equilibrium? Why or why not? Not quite, because it's still really blue, but you can see at the top it's starting to turn purple, so we know that the reaction is going in both directions. We know that even though it turned blue, it's also going back in the other direction. That's why we see a little bit of purple there. Okay, I'm going to skip ahead. Okay, in this next part, in test tube one, we're going to add water. So if you look at your reaction at the top, where do we see water? Water is over here on the product side. So we're going to take test tube one, which is blue, and we're going to add water to it. What do you think is going to happen? Well, let's see. So some Poland spring water, pouring it into the test tube, and oh my God, it turned pink. So the reaction went in the reverse direction, back towards the product side. We see that because it turned pink. Okay, so this is clear evidence that this reaction is reversible. Now we're going to fast forward, and this is where you guys are going to make your predictions. Okay, so here is a beaker full of hot water, and we can tell it's hot because it's steaming. The person in the video is also going to take the temperature, and you'll see that. And we're going to place a pink test tube with mostly reactant in the hot water, and you're going to predict what you think is going to happen. So measuring the temperature, the room temperature is 25.5 degrees Celsius, and the water is 76 degrees Celsius, just proving that it's hot. So putting the test tube into the water, I'm going to pause it right there. I want you to predict, what do you think is going to happen and why? So think about your reaction. We're adding heat. Keyword, adding heat. Which way do you think the reaction is going to go? Is it going to go to the right and turn into a product? Will it stay to the left and stay as a reactant? Or will it turn purple and reach equilibrium? Okay, and I'm going to fast forward to the next part. Okay, now we're going to take a cold test. We're going to take a test tube with mostly product, so it's going to be blue, and we're going to put it in a cold beaker. You can see there's ice in this beaker, and I want you to predict what's going to happen and why. So measuring the temperature, the beaker is 9.5 degrees Celsius. Taking a test tube with mostly product, we know that because it's blue, and I'm going to pause right there. What do you think is going to happen to the contents of the beaker? Will it stay as a product? Do you think it'll push the reaction to the left and it'll turn into reactants? Or do you think it'll reach equilibrium, and why? So in this case, we are removing heat. I'll say that again. Key word, removing heat. So make your predictions now, and then in the next section, we will observe what actually happened.